Hey everyone, this is Nate Williams, and I want to share an apology with you and also an exciting announcement. First, regarding the apology, several of y'all have reached out and asked, hey, why aren't you producing more episodes of the Dangerous Faith podcast? What's happened with y'all? And I do want to apologize for that. I have taken a little bit of a break. But that leads me to the exciting announcement. I have become the new director of an apologetics and evangelism ministry titled the Apologetics Resource Center, ARC or ARC. And in the new role, I'll be speaking, teaching, and preaching on a wide variety of topics, but I don't want to get too much into that because that'll be the next episode where I explain more about the ministry. But because I have this new role, I've temporarily paused the podcast until some of those details have solidified. So again, I'm sorry about that, but I'm also very excited to share the news with you. And again, more details in the next episode. So y'all enjoy this upcoming conversation in this episode from the Dangerous Life team. And we're talking about advice and wisdom. The podcast will look different moving forward, but you can still enjoy this episode, and I hope you do so. All right, y'all. Dangerous Faith, Dangerous Life team on advice and wisdom. Welcome to the Dangerous Faith podcast. My name is Nate Williams. With me, we have Chloe, Zeke, and Spencer, a small crew today, but we'll be all right. We are talking about advice. We are talking about wisdom. Who has given you the best piece of advice, the best wisdom? It doesn't have to just be overall, but also just specific topics. It could be marriage, it could be your job, it could be whatever, school. Best advice, best wisdom. All right, y'all, take it away. Zeke and I talked about this a little bit ago, and he had some zingers. Zeke, do you remember?
Yeah, you said take it away and then immediately start talking over us. So
yes.
Wisdom is shut up and let other people talk.
No, I will not do that.
I'm trying to think. I remember one of them was work related. It was just kind of like ever since I got the wisdom from that manager, it's kind of influenced how I treat others at work. So I'm working at fast food. I'm 16, nervous, freaking out because I think I'm going to mess everything up. And at 16, you don't realize that fast food's really not that serious. Like, yeah, it's important because you don't want to mess people's orders up. But like, end of the day, you're not a doctor. You're probably not going to kill anybody on accident.
Rare chicken. Who cares?
Yeah. But anyway, so I was nervous and I was working there and she came up to me. She could kind of tell. And she's like, Zeke, there's nothing you can do here that we can't fix. And there's nothing you can do by accident here that we can't fix. And that kind of just gave me reassurance, kind of let loose and kind of learn how to do my job better. So that's kind of carried over to every other job I've had.
Zeke, you mean you weren't always...
I'm not looking for pushback.
Calm, cool, and collected?
Oh, yes. No, I was not. Still am not.
So looking just a side topic, favorite job before the one you have now? Not saying you love the one you have now, but just like we've had various jobs. Favorite one?
Oh, y'all can answer too. I'm thinking.
Spencer,
you
Chloe?
were given such a big think over there that
I am. I
didn't want to. I didn't have a lot of jobs, to be honest with you.
I didn't either.
Y'all didn't have like that high school job?
Chick-fil-A.
I cleaned.
That counts.
shows.
Yeah, I
But that
cleaned
was
my
not my
church.
favorite.
but
That
I didn't-
counts?
I didn't-
Yeah, those are jobs.
My favorite was being a rehab tech at Spain, 100%.
There we go. So
Yeah.
y'all have good answers.
And I still work there.
There we go.
I guess the strangest job I ever had was working with Coleman Casting. I learned a lot of interesting things from interesting people.
Coleman Casting.
Yeah, I was sanding down forklift ends for 2 weeks, and then the air that I was breathing was poisonous. But we had an air filter, and I went to get a new air filter, and they were like, "Oh, shipment hasn't come in." I was like, "Why?"
Deuces, I'm out.
So does it have to be the job that we liked, or sir, can it be a different reason?
All the above.
Huh. I really liked working with you and the other guys at Walmart, but
That was fun.
I've had other jobs. I like the job more. I've had so many jobs at this point, and most time it's because I'll have like more than one at a time. I really liked working at when I was a pizza delivery driver because you're just sitting in the car most of the time listening to music and driving around. So that was pretty sweet.
Did you ever feel like you were in danger when you were driving around?
No, when I did DoorDash, I did because, no offense, there's some. You occasionally get to the rich neighborhood with DoorDash. 95% of the time, it's people because they're high and they don't want to go get it themselves.
Zeke, are you making fun of poor people?
Yes.
Yeah, poor people who do drugs. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you need to stop. This is your message. This is your sign.
Do not
speaking
do drugs.
I was going to tell you this on our talk whenever we talk this week, but it'll be a fun thing. So at work this week, I was going about my boss's office, and him and my other boss were just talking. It wasn't anything important. And he was trying to give my other boss a fortune cookie. He's like, I don't want a fortune cookie. Blah. I don't know why he was so against it. He's like, I hate him. I don't want him. He's like, just read the message. And he's like, no, I'm good. So he's like, here's Zeke, you take it. Well, the fortune cookie I get in front of my two bosses, I open it and the fortune says, you'll soon begin a new line of work. I'm like, oh, well, I guess this is my way of letting y'all know.
This is my 2-week notice. That's awesome.
Now, if you do quit, did you keep the piece of paper?
He actually took it and went and gave it to someone else.
You should have kept it.
It's like,
Yeah.
hey, this
You
is a
give the
message for
2
you.
weeks notice.
Like
Yeah.
years down the road.
Yeah.
All right, turning back to our topic of advice, wisdom. Spencer, Chloe, what you got for us? Anything someone says like, man, this was really helpful?
I think the biggest one that sticks out to me is what someone told me my freshman year of college. And it was geared more toward like marriage and relationships, but it can really apply to anything in life. And it's very simple, but it's just pray in specifics. Like I was thinking I was single at the time, and I was like, am I ever going to get married? I'm like, how am I ever going to meet someone? The typical things a college freshman would think of. And then after she told me that, I made like a whole list of just qualities I want in a guy or a husband, a future husband.
And then here's Zeke
And
is.
I literally would pray over that list. There's like 50 things on it, and I would pray.
She was not picky.
And obviously, like,
Not at all.
obviously, like, they're not going to meet all 50 or 60 of those, but
But
like,
then I came along.
at least the big one. And I will say Zeke did meet like, there's maybe like only 5 on
We don't
there
have to
that he
put a
didn't.
number to it.
We
don't have to list how many imperfections I have.
99%.
Obviously, you're not going to find someone perfect, but like, there was only like 5 or so on there. And I really do think that's because the power of prayer and praying and for the specific things that you desire.
Pray specifically. I like that. Spencer, what you got?
I think as of recent, the most influential person that I've had around like on a consistent basis was probably my MMA coach, because he was just he would talk us through like how to handle tough situations. And like one thing with me was when I started sparring, I would be thinking so hard that I would forget to breathe. And I would be so, I would be in the situation and I would be like, and like it would be,
The face makes it so much better.
I'd be-
You're just focused.
and I
And
would,
then you
I
pass
would-
out from
See, I
lack of
never
oxygen.
passed out. And I thank God that I was a trumpet player, because I
So-
had to hold my trumpet.
So
hold my
was
air
his
a lot.
wisdom to breathe?
It was to breathe,
So
but
that's
it was
the wisdom.
also, but it took a deeper cut, because it was just
Yeah.
like looking at these tough situations, because it's
Mm-hmm.
not like you're boxing a 6'5", 265-pound dude, and just in those situations to take the time to actually think through it and not get so stressed out to the point that you literally kill yourself.
Yeah, breathe before you die.
Breathe before you die. But like you're saying, Spencer, there is wisdom there of you can get so caught up in a whole bunch of things, but you still got to take care of the basics. Still got to do the things that you got to do. And they talk about that sometimes, counselors and therapists, when you're going through a difficult time. Sometimes just getting up, making your bed, or just making it to the gym, working out, you might not think much of it, but just those little successes, doing the routine maintenance is very helpful amidst all the other craziness going on. So yeah, I like it. I think for me, one thing related to marriage that has helped me is you're going to get into disagreements and arguments, and that will happen. You know, you're two separate people.
I'll
with
let
two,
you know when it does.
All right. Unless you're Zeke,
Okay.
who never
Not a single time.
fights.
Yeah. Sure.
Right, Chloe?
Totally.
And Chloe's in full agreement that you're going to disagree from time to time, and it's going to be okay. Like sometimes when you're dating, you think that after an argument, it's like, oh no, are we going to break up? Or you just have this anxiety because when you go through a rough patch, there's nothing deeper kind of keeping you there. If the other person breaks up with you, like it's okay. If you break up with the other person, it's okay. That happens. But like in a marriage, when you have some of those deeper commitments and vows, you're going to have those rocky patches. It's going to be okay. Like keep working on them and try to resolve in a healthy manner. Yes. But like breathe a little bit, breathe, get a good night's sleep. Like things look better in the morning. It's going to be okay. Just stay in it. And it's not every disagreement necessarily is the end of the world. Not to say that gives you license to, you know, make certain decisions or make certain mistakes. No, but for most matters, it's going to be okay. Just stay in it. Just breathe. It'll look better in the morning. But all right, continuing on with advice, wisdom. Anything else y'all got? Anything else y'all can think
A
of?
very wise sage once told me some marriage advice, relationship advice in general, and it's probably the one I've used most frequently. His name is Nathaniel Williams, and
Who's that?
some say he's an enigma, an imagination. Anywho, he said that if you're ever talking to a woman and she's complaining,
That never happens.
I know, Chloe doesn't, but this is great for someone else out there, and she's complaining, you have to ask if she needs someone to listen to, a hug, or advice, and just assume it's always the first one. And that's helped me not have to worry about trying to fix everything. So
But that doesn't have to just be for marriage. You can use it
I just said for relationships.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you just said for marriage.
And when they don't listen, I'm just kidding.
Zeke is sassy
Yeah.
today.
Yeah,
I'm on one today.
He is on one. Chloe, Spencer, any other?
Chloe had one. You shared it last night. Don't go to sleep angry.
Oh, yeah. I have a couple more, like, maybe relationship, marriage related, but I also have some others as well. So, you know how I've noticed, especially, like, when me and Zeke were engaged, like, at my showers and stuff, like, people would always say, like, oh, like, don't let the sun go down in your anger. Like, don't ever go to bed angry and all that. And then the more, you know, I went through life, or we got married, and, like, I think I talked to probably both Nate and Zeke about this, and y'all kind of gave me the wisdom of, like, that's not entirely what that means, because sometimes our brains definitely do need sleep, like, because most of the time, you know, like, when we get into a lot of our disagreements right before bed a lot of the time, and my brain is worn out. I've used my brain for 14 plus hours a day. It's worn out, and so sometimes you do need to let your brain just rest and put it to the side, and then you can come back to it the next day, and revisit when you're in a better state of mind and you can actually use your brain in a healthy way. So
I think that's good. Yeah, Paul's advice, it's the choice to hold on to anger through the night and through your sleep.
yeah,
It doesn't mean you have to, and I've known Christian couples that are like, we're going to stay up all night and we're going to solve every issue that we have because of Paul's wisdom. Chloe, you're right. It's not that. It's you release your anger, you let it go. And then, yes, the next day you can keep on working through whatever conflict resolution you're looking towards. But yeah, good advice there.
I think there's I like how you said it. I just want to add on a little bit of, for the people who say, well, I can't go to sleep until it's resolved. To let go of your anger. I can't imagine someone who's able to just be infuriated. I'm sure there's someone, but I couldn't imagine just being extremely mad and then just passing out. Like, if I'm really mad, it's going to be hard for me to sleep. So to your point, like, releasing your anger said, I'm not going to dwell on this anger. I'm not going to let this get the best of me. We will resolve it, but for tonight, I'm just going to let me and the other person rest, and we'll come back to it.
Yes. Yes.
Making your anger the other person's problem when they're exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only selfish, it's stupid. It's not going to do anything.
Well, you're stupid. I'm just kidding.
I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry. But
Boom, roasted. I think, good advice, good wisdom there. I think one thing I've told a lot of young adults is you have to get rid of the old timeline. I remember when we were a part of our young adult ministry years ago, there's this ingrained timeline that people tell us. Okay, 18, graduate high school. 4 years later, get your bachelor's degree. Then you get married, get your house, have a kid 2 years later, and there's this timeline, retirement at this age, grandkids here, and get your white picket fence and your whatever. I've had to tell a lot of young adults, get rid of the timeline. Mm-hmm. Those things can still happen, and sometimes plans do happen, and all that, and that's wonderful. But if you get married in your 30s, great. If you have kids, maybe whatever other time other than just strictly 2 years after marriage, 2-3 years, fine. If you don't have a home till later, that's okay. Get rid of the self-imposed timeline or culturally imposed timeline that certain things have to happen at certain stages of life. Sometimes people don't find their career till their 40s. Sometimes people don't get married. I think of C.S. Lewis till Zeke, help me out.
50 or 60.
I think he was in his 50s, and I'm open to being wrong.
Close to when he died.
Yeah. And throw out the timeline. It does not matter. If you take a little bit longer to finish a college degree, or if you don't go to college, that's just fine. There are other job avenues for you.
That's a hard one, though.
What's that?
That's a hard one. Like, intellectually, it's easy to understand, but it's a hard one to actually believe.
Yeah. I grew up, it was like, after high school, you're going to go to college. And that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. And then we think about a lot of the trades, a lot of great trades jobs that pay really well.
Like pastors.
Unfortunately, not, but I wish. Then you have owning a business, and then oftentimes for the ladies,
financial advising.
Financial advising, yes, and just certificates you can get, including various technology certificates, computer programming, and all that. There's just alternative routes. You don't always have to get a 2-year, 4-year degree or whatever. So throw out the timeline, and that might be good to do for many of us.
But here's another little segue. If you did choose to go the college route, like I did, and then you chose to go to more college, something that's really helped me along the way is I have had to learn and force myself to take breaks. I used to literally not take any breaks in undergrad. I would just work and work and work and work and work for hours, stare at a screen for hours, not get out of my chair for hours while I was studying. But PT school, I really had to change it because my brain and my body couldn't handle it. Like it just couldn't. It was too much stress on my mind.
I understand.
And so, if you're out there and you are in school, or even if you're not, even if you're working, this still might be good advice. I set a timer for 50 minutes, and then I break for 5 minutes. And then every 3 or 4 times I do that, I get 20 minutes. So I don't know if that's going to help anybody, but it helped me.
It's a schedule that works for you, and people can take the wisdom that's there and modify it as necessary. Yeah. But no, I like that.
I got some that I could use some pushback on.
Okay.
Because it came from me, so there's a good chance it's wrong. But I've been trying to think of lately and like I said, it may not apply to every situation, but I feel like one of the easier ways to have discernment, maybe you're not sure what to do in a certain situation. I try to ask myself, like, what would Satan want me to do? And I don't do that thing. Got it kind of from Michael Scott.
What would Jesus do?
Yeah, I mean, but it's the same thing. If like sometimes like a lot of Christians I feel like get bogged down like, I don't know what Jesus wants me to do. What if he wants this? Well, what if he wants that? I'm like, okay, well, what do you know that Satan does want? And that's pretty obvious most of the time because it's normally a bad thing. As long as I'm not doing that thing, hopefully I'm getting in the right track. What do you think?
So I think that is true, but also I might have to side with Chloe in that I feel like the positive version of it. What would Jesus do? Or I feel like that might be more helpful, but I'm open to being wrong. Spencer, what do you
I've
think?
been wrong plenty of times, so.
I think a lot of people get really bogged down into what does Jesus want me to do that they can't live their life without like literally like freaking out about the decisions they're making for their lives, because it's to the point where, well, I don't know if God has this in my plan, so I'm just not going to try and do anything at all.
True. You both are correct. But asking what would Satan do, does that help with that?
What would Satan want me to do? I mean, I guess it would. You can't just have one without the other. I think you have to have both. And I think it would be most helpful if you had both. Because if you look at something...
Spencer's doing that thing again where he doesn't really answer the question.
No,
He just
yeah,
plays the fence.
I think it's
I think
Spencer is
if you look at one side and you say, what would Satan want me to do? And then you have that list, and then you have the list of what would Jesus want you to do. Then you can just ignore this list of what Satan would have you to do, and then you can just focus on one thing.
Yes. Yeah, no, I think it's interesting. That's good exercise. Chloe, what you think? Would you ask the question, what would Satan do? And then do the opposite?
I think I could ask that. I don't know that that would be my first thought. I think, but if I was, thinking about some big decision, or even if it's not a big decision, I would probably ask more of what would God want me to do, or what would Jesus do? That seems like a more, but I do see how asking what would Satan do and then doing the opposite could be helpful.
Like, for example, let me give a real world example. God, I'm trying to not set my arms on the table. For example, I've said example like 7 times in the past 3 sentences.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example?
I'm thinking of one. So let's say I'm sitting on the couch or something, and there's nothing wrong with watching TV or anything like that, but I haven't read my Bible in a couple of days. If what Satan doesn't want me to do in this moment, I know for a fact is read my Bible. He never wants that. So I'm like, okay, I know I haven't done it in a couple of days. I know he doesn't want me to do it. Kind of makes me want to do it now because I know he doesn't want me to do it. It's kind of like that.
That is true.
I think you hit on something important with the question. When it has to deal with habits and temptations and things like that, I could just imagine, let's say I'm heading towards a habit, or I'm heading towards some activity I know I shouldn't do. Imagining Satan cheering me on or being happy, that's like an ugly image in my brain. I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't do that. So I could see
That's kind of what I'm
helpful.
I feel like that is helpful, because there was even a show I started watching a couple weeks ago. I won't even say what it is, but it just had too many things in it. And then I started thinking about, I was like, would this be a show that would drive me closer to God or more away? Because it has an influence over my mind.
Now we're just curious what the show is.
I can't try to remember what it's called. Well, see, okay, what attracted me to it was it had Steve Carell.
50 Shades of Grey?
No.
You talking about the movie we watched?
No.
50 Shades of Grey.
I'll find it.
I was going to joke about that before she mentioned
I'm not bashing
Steve
the show. Like, it had I only watched 2 episodes. It had an okay story, but okay, it's called The Four Seasons. But like the cussing, and then like how little they regarded marriage, and like how there was like a gay married couple on there. I was just like, the whole time I was watching, I was just cringing, and so I was just like, this might not be the wisest thing to be filling my mind with.
No, I like that. That's discernment. Developing that filter to be like, okay, what am I going to let pass into my mind, my thoughts? I think about Philippians, the passage on whatever is true, whatever is pure, whatever is, all those things. Think on those things. And so our media really is important with that. So good thoughts, good advice, good wisdom. All right, anything else that comes to mind? What about, let's see, planning? Oh, Chloe?
Sorry, this just came to my mind because I just listened to a sermon to prepare for a Bible study this week. He was talking about like sharing the gospel, and that's always been something that I struggle with. I feel like I'm like, most of the time I either feel like I'm not equipped, or I just get way too nervous and back out. But he was talking about like, we as Christians, we already have the victory. We know that our victory is secure in Christ. And he kind of gave this analogy of like, if you're playing a game with someone, like a board game or something, and then they tell you like, hey, you're going to win this. Like, that's going to be the end result. you're going to win. Then you're going to be a lot more comfortable and bold in making certain decisions and taking certain actions because you know the end result. And I feel like that's exactly how it should be as Christians. Like, we shouldn't be afraid to, speak the name of Jesus or talk about Jesus around people who don't agree with us. And because we know that, like, our victory is secure no matter what, like, no matter how much we're persecuted, we have the victory.
That's true.
So,
yeah, it should impact our
that hit me.
evangelism.
Oh, I remember. I think I'm pretty sure you're the one who told me, and you can tell me where you got it. But going back to Chloe's boldness thing of another reason why we can be bold is God has already factored in our stupidity. Hurts
Yes.
every time.
Yes, that is so true. I think about Moses in the burning bush and talking with God. But God, I don't speak well. God, why don't you raise someone? Whatever, all the excuses. And God's like, Moses, go do it. Like, just go do it. God has factored in our stupidity, our flaws. I think that's really comforting. I think from a practical standpoint, one thing that someone told me, or maybe I saw this on Reddit, I don't know. Got to be careful about Reddit. But this line of, you're going to be that age anyways. Why not do the thing? So, for example, let's say there's a project, a degree, a certificate, whatever, that takes years. Something in your life that takes years. And you're like, man, I don't know if I want to do all that because it's going to take me so long to get to. This could work for like owning a house or whatever. The wisdom is you're going to be that age anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever you do, you're going to be 2, 5, 10 years older at some point anyways. Why not just do the thing?
Yeah.
Because that age is coming regardless of your personal decisions, barring, Jesus taking you home. So if you're just saying, oh, it's going to take so long to do, that shouldn't stop you because you're going to be that age down the road anyways.
I agree 100%.
So anyway, okay, so moving on, had to check on something real quick. Anything else? Any other wisdom that y'all have? What about related to the future? So one day we may or may not retire. One day we may or may not have grandchildren. Any piece of advice or wisdom when it comes to distant future? Anything come to mind?
The first thing I think of is, like, people, especially around like our age, like 20s, are always questioning, like, oh, what if I don't follow like what God wants me to do, or like what is God's calling for my life? Like, that's a big question for our age group. But something that's kind of comforting is that we're not powerful enough to how's it worded? This quote. We're not powerful enough to
thwart God's plans.
Yeah, like we don't have the kind of power to ever be out of God's will for our life, and it's going to happen regardless.
That's actually a nice bow to take us full circle, because that's taking Zeke's advice he shared at the beginning about the fast food.
Oh, yes.
And it's like, hey, there's nothing you can unintentionally do that can, mess this up. That's going spiritual and eternal. There's nothing that we can do that's like God's shaking his head like, man,
Well,
Earth is
sorry,
ruined.
You did the one thing on the list that you couldn't do.
Now my will not be done.
Again, he factors in our stupidity.
Yeah, so it ties it together. That's like a cosmic version of that advice. Spencer, you have the chance to not be a politician here and not, ride the fence.
Okay.
Do you have any finishing advice or wisdom for the world?
I think it's easy to look at the verse in scripture that says, our plans are foolish, and then just look at ourselves and be like, well, I shouldn't just make any plans. I'll just do whatever. I'm just going to pray that God leads me wherever I want, and then just don't do anything. So it's easy to get into a mindset where you just have no drive, no passion to do anything because you're trying to follow God's will in quotations.
Yes. I think that's what Paul was running into in a couple of his letters. People were like, oh, Jesus is coming back. They put out lawn chairs out front and be like, all right, Jesus. So they wouldn't go to work. They wouldn't do. He's like, y'all go to work with your hands, lead quiet lives, just continue on. And, Jesus returns when he returns. But you're right. Yes. Just do what you need to do.
Yeah, and what I think we need to do as Christians is bring forth the kingdom into this world, because as we look into the
Very
future,
post-millennial.
but okay,
Okay.
millennial,
So you are all millennial?
yes, but
Okay.
we won't get into that right now. But as we live on this earth, our responsibility is to make it more like heaven as Christians, and so we should go into the world. And I get so fed up with people that they just run away. They go make their own schools, do their own things, but they don't actually ever affect those around them. And so if you take that life where you say you shouldn't make any plans for the people around you, you shouldn't have any plans for yourself, but you're just trying to follow God in everything that you do, then is what you're doing, is that really affecting God? Is that really affecting the world in a positive way? So this earth is not our home, not our final home, but it's going to be refined and made into a perfect earth. And so we have to live like this is going to be where we're going to be one day. So it may not look the same, may not act the same, but God has plan, God has future.
Other piece of advice that I was kind of been thinking through this week because of our Sunday school lesson, and our Sunday school lesson was on suffering and how to suffer well as Christians and what advantage we have. And one of the things that Tim Keller said in a sermon that I was listening to for it is, are you done? Golly. He said that I may not know why you're suffering, but I know why you're not. And it's not because God didn't love you. Because otherwise Jesus would be on the cross.
Ooh.
So
Some good stuff right there.
So that's wisdom in the sense of like, even when you're going through the worst of times, like if you can just think of Jesus on the cross, you have an answer to why it isn't.
I like something that you say a lot, Zeke, which is
I say a lot of things a lot.
you do, and always good things. You can disagree with why God allows evil and suffering, but what you can't do is you can't say he doesn't care. I think that's powerful.
Good words.
Before we close out, Chloe, you want to take us home?
I was going to ask if I could share 3 super random quotes that I wrote down.
Yes,
I
you may.
I like write down random quotes that are kind of silly. Well, not all silly, but some of them are silly. But they're so good, and I
Okay.
guess you could kind of consider them wisdom. But they're very
Okay.
random.
Take
on
us away.
very random topics. Which one should I do?
You're in charge.
Okay. This one's kind of silly, but it's so good. If you use your body as bait, you're going to catch a dumb bass. Wow, I got no laughs out of that one. Okay.
I love it, honey.
Thanks, honey. Okay, the others are more serious. This one was really convicting for me. It says it's busy is being under Satan's yoke.
B-U-S-Y.
B-U-S-Y.
Being under
I like
Satan's
it.
yoke.
That was very convicting.
Yeah.
And then,
Are they all from the same person?
because I listened to a lot of the same people. Those 2 were from Jonathan Pokluda. The last one's not. If he never gives you another thing, answers another prayer, or gives you another blessing, is being with him enough for you? And that was from Maddie Trout.
Ooh.
Amen.
Is his grace sufficient? I like it. And Chloe, the reason why I didn't laugh at the first one was because I was slow and I was trying to put it together.
I had to be really careful how I said that one.
Those last couple of words, I was like, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious.
Spencer?
If Satan wants you to eat spicy food, you should probably not do the opposite and put spicy foods up your butt.
Good.
I've been
Sometimes
thinking about
I don't
it.
even
just
know where
can't
my
think on the
sentence is
spot.
going when I start.
I got to think off other people. So
Well, that's why we have Zeke.
Yes.
I have one thing.
You're
That's
quoting The Office.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of is keep it simple, stupid.
yeah, the kids principle.
Spencer did the same thing.
What I asked
You missed
myself,
100% of the
what would
shots
an
you don't
idiot do? And I do not do that thing.
take. Yeah.
Great advice. Hurts my feelings.
So when is the next time y'all are gonna watch The Office in your own personal life?
I don't know the last time I actually watched
Today.
it.
No, I'm just kidding.
I haven't
I want to
watched
watch
it through since last year.
I don't
They
know.
took it off Netflix and stuff.
That's why I get Peacock, because Peacock's way better and it has John Wick.
I had it for a little
I
while.
don't know if Peacock's better than Netflix.
It has Psych.
Oh, okay. That's, you sold
Psych's
me.
pretty good.
I'll get it.
Psych got old after a couple
Shut up.
seasons.
No one asked you.
No, Psych is good.
Like
You said you needed wisdom. Here's you some.
Psych is like
the formula, it just got so predictable. I was like,
You get predictable, okay?
Gus and
That's
Sean-
why there's not a TV show about my life.
Gus
Yeah, you got
and
that
Sean
right.
are like the funniest duo in like.
They took
all-
Yeah,
Monk
name a
off
better
YouTube.
duo. I'll wait.
I like
I want to
Monk.
watch Monk again.
Yeah, it has Monk too. It has Monk.
There
It
you
has,
go. See?
Zeke,
The
you were
Middle.
watching it?
It has
Oh, the
Community.
middle. I love the middle.
Wait, what has what?
Community.
Oh,
Community.
It's
does
Brooklyn
have,
Nine-Nine.
does have
Netflix
Malcolm in the
has
middle?
Community.
I think it does. Yeah.
I'm sold. The problem is Netflix does have some pretty good originals. They're hit or miss, but
do like
the
their
ones that hit, pretty solid.
Yeah. They have some good documentaries too.
See, I don't go at the originals unless they're like.
Spencer just
years
rewatches
old.
the same thing over and over
Yeah, I'm watching Parks
and
and
over.
Rec for like the 6th time.
I mean,
my God.
it's a good thing to
It's probably
rewatch.
the 4th time.
They just don't make them like they used to.
No,
They really
they've
don't.
tried a couple comedies like the old days. Superstore was one.
I started that one.
St.
Superstore.
Dennis
Um,
is another one that they're trying to bring back those types
what
of
was
comedies.
it?
It's okay.
Something elementary. Abbott Elementary.
Abbott Elementary.
I've heard people like
That's
that.
a pretty good one. I've seen it.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine was hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
But wasn't that around the same time? Or was that a little bit later?
I think it was a little bit later.
Well, they did a good job on that. But
Wait, so Superstore
I think you
not
really need. Well, I don't know. Yeah, you really need like one or two characters that hold it together really well.
I need a show to watch.
Like you have
Someone give me
Michael
a show.
Scott, who kind of holds it together for the majority of it, and then it's downhill after that.
Everyone tries to have their own Michael Scott. It just doesn't work.
Well, Brooklyn Nine-Nine had it with Jake Peralta, and it worked pretty well. They had other people, but like if Jake left, like the show's over.
yeah, true.
So season 8, they haven't released the Superfan episodes for season 9 yet, but season 8 Superfan episodes were actually a lot better than what they put on TV. Now you're gonna watch like probably 15, 20 more minutes of a show, like an episode, but
Yeah.
I think it's because there's a lot more jokes.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot funnier.
I'm not saying The Office ever got bad. I'm just saying like
It did.
no, it never got bad.
I never
Yes, it
remember
But
it being bad.
Michael was
The
peak.
Andy as the boss episodes.
Oh,
I find it
no,
hilarious.
They're not as
Get the
good,
Girl
but
is
they're.
like the worst episode ever.
No.
Get the girl where he goes to Florida
I don't
to
remember
get
that.
Aaron
No.
back. That's
The
It's just sad. That's what it is.
No, I think the worst episode is where he the tots. What is it called?
Scott's Tots. That's the
Scott's
best
Tots.
one.
Oh,
That's
that's
not a bad
awful.
episode.
That is the
I don't watch
worst.
that episode.
Worst.
And I watched that one on
I
repeat.
can't watch it without
It's terrible.
clenching my whole
cringy,
body.
but it's
I'm
not
sorry.
Make our
bad
dreams
TV.
come true. Whatever that
It's
song
so
is.
good. I
Get
have
the girl is so weird because
I have the
Nelly just
t-shirt
comes
for
in
it.
and Robert California's just like, she's hot, and then lets her do whatever she wants.
I didn't like Robert California.
He was my
I
favorite.
didn't-
I didn't like Will Ferrell. Whatever his.
He was only there for
I
2
don't-
episodes.
didn't like.
I
it.
don't care.
What's that lady's name that came in with her dogs?
The lady with the short hair, the 2 dogs.
Yes.
She's
I can't think of her name.
she's Bobby Boucher's mama.
Oh, there you go.
That's what you remember. Nothing. I don't know.
Why can't I remember her name?
Jane.
Jane,
Joe.
Joe. It's Joe.
Wait, it is
Yeah,
Joe.
sure.
It is Joe. Yeah.
Jane,
Oh, yeah.
Jane. And then Idris Elba.
Wait, I know.
Oh,
that name.
He's
the,
the black guy.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was like
The one that all the girls were.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like, I know the effect I have on women. I mean, that's a good line.
That is a good line.
You can't say. Yeah. I think they did good with him because like they literally flipped it. They like he loved Dwight and some of the ones that were typically not really liked, but the Michael, and then he didn't like Jim. Kind of felt right, just for a little bit.
Jim
not for a
got
long
put
time.
in his place. He was such a
He was
goofball.
the real straight man. Like he was the only one that came in and was like actually a real
yeah.
person. And then he started liking Dwight a little too much, and everyone was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, that's insane."
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes you need a little chaos.
Yeah. So once Michael left, it was over.
David,
But he-
Sorry, y'all.
David, what was his name?
Wait.
David, the original boss.
Oh,
I
Wallace.
like David Wallace. I loved
He's the
him.
most patient human being
He-
in all the TV.
I loved him.
He was good.
Like Michael
Suck
would just
it.
be like, "I'm gonna kill everyone, and I'm gonna burn this place to the ground." And David would just be like, "Come on, Michael."
Michael.
It's like you with Justin. Justin.
Justin. But yeah, then he got
So-
rich off of his suck it vacuum.
And rebought the company.
And where are we?
So wisdom.
So
What is
wisdom.
it? Where do we get it?
Why do we need it? All right, we ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
As ready as I'll be.
Ready.